Hello and welcome back to Butcher That Model. The last video when I did the reviews on the inbox reviews, the box openings on First Strike, I did say we'll be doing something big. That's the base, and that's what we're going to be building. One of the new easy build Primaris Redemptor Dreadnoughts. These things are absolutely great fun to build and paint, and we'll be going through the stages of turning that lump of plastic into that. So what paints are we going to be using? Abaddon Black. I always undercoat in my Space Marines in Abaddon Black. Then Macragge Blue, obviously. Leadbelcher. And then our Liquid Talent Null Null. And then I shall be going back to the 90s, to the dim and distant past. And I shall be highlighting, edge highlighting with Festering Blue and Lightning Bolt Blue. Now the equivalent today would be Calgar Blue, basically. And then I shall also be doing a very fine edge highlight of Rust Grey. Now a lot of people use Fenrisian Grey. I just like Rust Grey. And then for all the little intricate cables and pipe work, and that will be using just bright colours, reds, yellows, greens. And then I shall upset the purists in the Warhammer community, and I shall be doing my lenses in clears, clear red and clear yellow. I just like using clears on them. I think it looks absolutely amazing with a silver background and then a clear paint. So Warhammer Games Workshop, if you're listening, you need to start producing clears and you need to start producing set and soul solutions. I'm sure you could get hold of somebody and say, why don't we have a little bit of a partnership here and do set and soul equivalent and clears? You do everything else, you might as well, and it would sell. And that would stop the purists from getting upset. The Animax, but never mind. Right then, so what we're going to do. First thing we're going to do is I'm going to start removing everything from the sprues and clean it up. Give it a good old sand, all the nubs off and all that. So I will see you in half a second for you. Probably about an hour for me, time I've taken it all off and make sure everything's all denubbed and ready to go. So, due to our time machine, I'll see you in half a second. Hello and welcome back. The old time machine a bit worked, and we're all cleaned up and undercoated. Oh, here we go again. Right, you may notice it's still in bits. This new push fit is fantastic. The only seam line, the only joint line you have to worry about is the one on the assault cannon. I've still left it in 2 bits because if you put it together, it's very hard to paint this bit silver because of the shoulder armour. What we'll do is we'll paint it silver first, the bits that need to be silvered, leave it to dry, and then we'll put it together, get rid of the visible seam line that runs down the centre of the barrels, and then we'll take it from there. The other thing you might want to do is, before we go on to painting blue, the back armour where the exhaust stacks are needs to be painted silver on the inside, and it's far easier to do it now than it is when you painted the whole thing blue and then have to touch up. So let's crack on and do that. The other thing I've got as well is I've got some new brushes. I'm trying out the Winsor & Newton Foundation brushes. The synthetic, they're not the sable brushes, so they're quite reasonable priced. And so far, I've had them for a few days. I quite like them. So I'll let you know how I get on with these in a few weeks' time. Get a few more builds on the belt with them, and we'll see how they hold up against Citadel brushes and 1 or 2 others. But so far, I quite like them. They hold quite a lot of paint for their size, and they seem to be holding a point really well. So far, even though it's only been a few days, I'm quite impressed with them. Right, so what we'll do now is we'll leave that to dry. We'll touch up the black, and then we'll paint them blue. So that's what I'll do now. I'm going to crack on. I'm going to paint everything that needs to be blue. I'll put the gum together, and everything that needs to be silvered. And I'll see it. You don't sit here watching me paint, because that's going to bore you to tears, and it's going to take a long time. So we'll time machine it, and I'll see you when everything's blued and silvered. Time machined it. There we go, look. So all the blue's down, and now all the silver's down. The next thing we want to do is we want to use our liquid talent. We want to give it a wash, and this is Null. We're going to wash the silver parts. We're not going to do an all over wash of all the big panels. We're going to wash the panel lines. So we'll step down the brush size. We're just going to use our medium shade brush on most of it, but then when it comes to the panel lines, now I prefer these. This is a brush from the Works. They're really cheap. Boldmire, the company is. This is a 5/0, but you'll notice it's very long bristled for a 5/0 brush, and I prefer this just for getting in to the little tiny panel lines. So let's crack on. We'll give it a wash. The gun's all up together now, the assault cannon. We want to be very careful when we're doing this as well. We want to put the wash in between the barrels, but we don't want to wash the barrels, because later on we're going to do the old heat bluing using inks, using a blue and a purple and a brownish ink, and give it a bit of a heat bloom. I know some people, a fella with a beard, you know, I don't think he's going to like it, but he likes it on exhaust, not weapons. But there you go, it's one of them things. I like doing it, and at the end of the day, you know, it's my Dreadnought, which is the beauty of this hobby. Do whatever you want to it. Right, so let's start off with just getting Null oil down on the bits we painted silver. Now this is very runny stuff, and you don't want to let it pool up. And the other thing you have to be aware of when you're using any sort of wash is whatever you're painting, don't stop and leave it, because what will happen is when it dries and you go over it again and try and carry on, you'll end up with a tide mark, and you don't want that. It looks absolutely awful, and you'd have to strip it and repaint the entire thing. Right, and the other beauty of especially Null and other Games Workshop washes, it's pre-thinned. You can take it straight out of the bottle. It's one of the few things that you can take straight out of the bottle. That and the dry brush paints, they're ready to use straight out of the bottle. Everything else you need to thin with water, or Lahmian medium is what I prefer to use. And Lahmian medium is wonderful stuff. It's paint without pigment, so it doesn't alter the properties or the drying times. You want to be very careful with that. I just want to get a defined circle between the lens and the body. Same with the light, we want it, because we're going to use a clear on that later, and you'll see the immense difference by using a clear. And once it's had time to dry a little bit, go back over it again if you're not happy with the colours, the way it's looking. But just be aware you don't touch that blue in a minute. Don't let it pool up. Right, so that's about right on that. And then what we'll do is, same with the other mechanism for the legs, just run it in there. You don't have to be super neat with this stuff. Just be careful where it pulls, that's all. And what this will do is this will give it shadows around the edge, and add a bit of contrast to your metalwork. In things like rivets. Remember what I said to you in previous videos, you don't have to paint things rigidly straight up and down, perpendiculars and 90 degrees. Not twist it around, move it, get it in your hands, get it on your, if you're doing a figure, get it on a proper holder. These are brilliant. And rotate it round, move it, get it to where you want it to be, where it's easier for you to paint. You'll be amazed at how many people paint. I've seen it down at the Warhammer store. People will sit there with it rigidly the right way up, and then they're trying to get in and no, turn it upside down, move it about. Why make life hard for yourself? Right, we'll do this bit now. Right, this is going to be very boring sitting me watching doing this, isn't it? So what we'll do in a minute is we'll pause this again, the magic of a time machine, and I'll carry on putting all this, look at the difference between the two. It just adds real character, real definition, adds shadows. It's fantastic stuff. That's why they call it liquid talent. The Games Workshop Warhammer. It's really good stuff. We love it. We love a bit of washes. Right, so I'll crack on with the rest of this bit, and I'll see you in a minute, in a second. It's a time machine. Oh, where's the clicky thing? Oh, there it is. It's there. I found it. It's there. Ish. Time machine. Right. That's all the wash done. All the panel lines are washed. Now, the reason why I haven't given the blue an entire wash, one, it's very big flat panels. Oh, here we go again. Riptor time. Right. A, they're very big panels, and B is, this is one of the new Primaris Redemptor dreadnoughts. It's not one of the old Millennium, you know, been around for thousands of years dreadnoughts like the venerable, I'll get the word out in a minute, venerable dreadnought that's, you know, it's been around for thousands of years, has probably had its leg blown off and replaced 300 years ago, and an arm blown off 200 years ago and replaced. Lots of battle damage, lots of weathering, lots of scarring. These are brand new. So it would have got a slight weathering, which is why I've done the panel lines, you know, to incorporate those bits of grit and dirt and oil on the machining parts, you know. So it's giving it that look. We don't want to go over the top with weathering and damage on these new Primaris ones because they are new. Right, so we'll call that a day for now. What we'll do in our next episode is we'll do all the colours down, like the sarcophagus, which is a real shame because it's beautifully detailed. There's a laurel leaf and a scroll work. It's beautiful painted up, all the pipe work. And then that goes over the top and you cover it up and you can hardly see any of it. You don't see any of the scroll work, any of the laurel leaf and all that. So it's up to you. If you want to paint it, paint it. If you don't, paint as far as you can see. It's your model. I just prefer to get in there and get everything painted. So that's what we'll do next. We'll get the bright colours out, we'll do the pipe work and that, and we'll just have a bit of fun with colours. We'll change some of the metal parts. We'll paint a couple of bits of copper and bronze and just mix it up a bit and make it look a bit more interesting. So I will see you in episode 2 of Build a Dreadnought.